continuing to try different stuff on Instagram Live here to see what works best. Not works best, I guess, but trying to see what feels the most connected and real with people. And I want to be able to show others the reality of what goes on behind the scenes, and just kind of like what I wrote today in oh, thank you for the hearts. What I wrote today in my main Instagram post is I've been really contemplating a lot about connection and this idea of how we connect. And so anyways, it's just been kind of on my mind. And all good. So yeah, so I'm in bed right now because I'm wanting to kind of share with everybody the realities of what goes on for me. And not to say that, this is everybody, but for myself, I've talked about a little bit in my other interviews. Oh, hi Tula. Hi everybody. I've talked about a little bit in my interviews, but the reality for me is that, um, oh, thank you, is I can't work as much as maybe some other people might, and I have to be really mindful about how I use my energy. And so, in reality, I can only really work about 4 hours a day at the most if I keep going. And, I do need to lie down and take naps and breaks quite often to have enough energy even to cook dinner or just to be able to function. And so it's really about listening to my body and kind of being okay with letting go of, not being part of this need to continually push, which I think a lot of us feel like we need to. And I'm a strong believer that we're all built differently for a reason. And I used to really, oh good, yeah, I used to really be quite ashamed actually, or feel very guilty for not being able to work like 8 hours a day or be able to crank new things out all the time as, like other people. And yeah, and, and a lot of people who hear about this say like, oh, you're so lucky. And it's like, well, it's not really by choice. I think in the long run, it's good for me. Yeah, it's good for me that I am learning how to be patient and learning how to really work with my body and my mind. But at the same time, it's taken a long time. I've been needing to be very mindful about my health for about 6, 7 years now. I think I'm on my seventh year now, because I'm not fully 100%. Hi, Ro. I'm not fully 100%. And so, I have days where it's really bad, where I really can't focus. And so I can't do any work. And there's other days where I'm on fire and I get a lot of stuff done. And so it's kind of up and down. But I'm learning every single day that, there's that saying, I don't know if you guys heard it, but there's this saying, of being 80% full and 20% empty in the stomach. But it's this constant balance of, at least for me, I'm not saying this is the right way, but at least for me having a constant balance between, oh, hello, thank you, how much work I'm doing, which means expenditure of energy, and then how much I guess it's not saving, but how much I'm holding in order to keep that energy within and to be able to do other things in my life, like be available for my husband or my parents or my friends, or even alone time. All of that factors in. And so I think we dedicate a lot of our time to work. And I love what I do, like, don't get me wrong, I love it. So a lot of times it's hard to hold back, and there's times where, yeah, I have to be honest, there's times where I'm like, oh, if I had this much more energy, I can probably do this and this and this, or take on more projects, or be more, I don't know, more whatever. But yeah, but I I'm realizing more and more, and I think it's also as I get older, is that, our bodies are built in a way where we function best when we honor our limits, but also at the same time we're putting out our energies in like this potent way. And so I've been really curious and reading about this idea of how do I say it? Like being a part of the natural flow of things. And there's this really good book I'm reading right now. If you guys are interested in like ecology and plant life and spirituality, how that mixes together, there's this book called Braiding Sweetgrass that I'm reading. It's really great. It's like just beautifully written, very poetic, but also talks about plant life. And there's sprinkles of wisdom in that book that I love. And a lot of it kind of mirrors human life with plant life or nature, and which I love. And a lot of it resonates because it talks about how, even with plants, that they are built in a way where they produce fruits or they flower at a certain time of the year. And all of these are part of the flow. And that if they overdo it, the tree will die. And if they underdo it, then obviously they can't survive because they don't have enough, how do I say, enough reproduction, or the next seedlings, they won't have enough. So I really thought about that. Even with human life, some people are built in a way where they can really expend like a lot of energy. And for myself, I think like I tend to get really excited about things and I want to push out a lot of work, but then I crash. Physically I crash, and it's really not good for anybody really. Like, I'm not able to cook dinner. I'm not able to really be a pleasant person to be around. All these things kind of go down the drain. So um, yeah, so I have a lot of that's been kind of on my mind, and I thought, I want to share this part of the journey as well as the artwork that I share online, because I think it's very unrealistic to think that whatever we see is, how do I say it, like, not effortless, but we tend to see the final product all the time, or the final, and we're in awe of it. And it's like, oh, that's so amazing, or I can't believe that person could do so much. And thanks. Um, yeah, that, we have this notion that like all of us are constantly on the go, and we need to be always pushing ourselves and producing. And I don't think that's sustainable, even from like a nature point of view. Like, we don't see apple trees fruiting apples every day for 365 days. Like, that would be crazy. And yet, why do us humans think that we can do that nonstop, producing 365 days out of the year and not crash or not have any physical problems, or health problems? So, yeah, so the reality is for me is I have to, again, like this, take breaks and lie down, and I need to take naps throughout the day. Usually one a day seems to be okay, but just kind of after that 4 hour of work and expending energy, yeah, need to lie down and kind of recuperate, or else I won't be able to last for the rest of the evening. Um, and I don't want people to have like this idea where, um, you know, that's it doesn't come with a cost. I think that oh, that's thank you. Yeah, I just feel like we are always so hard on ourselves, and we're actually hard on other people as well. We almost judge others for like taking breaks. Or it's funny because I have a cousin in Japan, and I was telling her like, "Oh, you should come visit us in LA sometime. It'd be so great to see you." And then she was saying to me, "Well, my husband can't take days off." And I said, "Well, don't they give you days off in Japan?" And she was like, "No. Well, they do. But if you try to take days off, then the people around him will make him feel guilty for it, for taking days off." And I thought that's really crazy because, days off is to nurture yourself so that you can do better work. And yet it's almost like we judge other people for taking care of themselves. It's like this kind of strange thing. And I think it's because we don't talk openly about it. It's like we praise people for being productive. We pay people more for doing a lot of work. Um, we never talk about the need to balance, and the importance of taking care of ourselves when our body is crying out for it. There's some crazy people where they're really ill and need to be bedridden even, but they'll choose to push their bodies and keep working. And even from like their hospital beds, they'll be working because they feel like that's what they need to do. um, so I don't know. Yeah, all these things have been on my mind, and I'm just trying to continue to not be trigger happy. I wrote that today on my post today, but that word has been on my mind a lot because it's so easy, especially with social media, I think, where you get like a you don't think, even when you're conscious about it and think, okay, I'm not going to just get onto my emails, or I'm not going to be on social media like replying back to every single message that comes through, or check, or whatever it is. It's like before you know it, a lot of your hours in the day is stuck on doing that. And you kind of think about it like, okay, is this really enriching? No, not even enriching my life, because yes, it does, connecting with others, but in the long run, it's like, am I spending my time in the way that I want to? Because that's expending energy, right? And again, back to the analogy of the apple tree is, when a tree fruits an apple, um, and I'm sure anybody sees this, is that once you pick the fruit and you eat it, you're eating a part of the tree life. You're taking on the life of the tree. And that's why when we eat food, we feel nourished and energized, because we're taking the energy that's gifted to us from plants and animals, and we're consuming it to give ourselves energy. So um, in that sense, the apple tree, or whatever tree or whatever animal that's giving us life, it's almost as if they die a little bit, in a way. And that's why we have to give it fertilizer, and that's why it gets energy from the sun. It's all part of this one big cycle of energy. And so when we consume energy and we're expending it doing stuff that we do, whether it's work, seeing friends, or whatever, it's not limitless the way that even though we use it as if we have like forever. But yes, spiritually speaking, our spirit has no limit. So yes, that's true. But in physical form, it's very limited. But yet we don't think about it. We just keep using, pushing. We're exhausted. We sleep. But the funny thing is that even though we sleep, because our body continues to age, every single day we're just a little bit less energized. Like it's almost like a battery, right? Like when we're a baby, we can sleep and it's fully charged. But as we get older, that battery is unable to fully charge. And so we're not, we're left with like a little bit less of a charge. And so it started to make me think like, okay, if we're running with a little bit less of charge, energy charge, and we're expending energy, which means that we're constantly, I'm not saying we're dying, but if you're talking about this analogy of the tree, it's like we're little by little letting go of that energy. Wouldn't it be worthwhile for us to use it and spend it in a way that's really meaningful? And the reason why I believe that's important is because when we spend our energy in a way that's potent to us, that is really meaningful to us, there's no way that another person can't feel that energy coming from you. Like, if you're really loving what you do, and that's why it's so important for us to be inspired by what we do, or feel moved by what we're doing, or what we're saying, or the time that we're spending with other people, is because by doing that, it's not only in energizing us and like nurturing our hearts, but it also is sharing that experience and existence with the other person. And so they're feeling at the same time. And that's why when we go hear people like these inspirational speakers, or we go and like watch a live show. I just recently watched oh my gosh, what's the name of the Postmodern Jukebox live this weekend, and it's amazing, so amazing. These artists that are singing and dancing, and they're just in their element. Oh, there's something about it that like makes your cells awaken. But when we as individuals are doing things that are truly connecting with our being, and it's making us so alive, there's no reason why somebody else won't feel it. And that's why it's so important for us to find what it is that excites us, that brings meaning into our life. And it doesn't have to be our job, it can be a hobby, it can be anything, it can even be part of a conversation. But always tapping into that part of us, always tapping into that being. And to and when enable to do that, we have to be really clear in our minds, and in our hearts. If we have any kind of foggy, or we're not able to comprehend like what is connecting with us, then it's really hard to share that with other people. And I feel that when we are maybe sleep deprived, or we're malnourished, whether it's physically or emotionally malnourished, we're not able to fully be present and fully express ourselves in like the most brilliant way possible. And that's why I think it's important also to like take care of our bodies, to listen to our bodies. If we need to rest. If we need to take a break. Don't feel bad about it. And when it's time to push, we push, but not pushing and doing things just for the sake of doing, but really doing it because we know it matters to us, and that we are doing it not for the sake of doing something good, but that we're really doing it because we believe in it. And that's what makes a difference. I think sometimes, we get kind of confused where we think if we do good for people, or if we do good for the world, like that's what it is. But strangely, some people feel empty when they do that. And the reason why is because if it's not something you truly believe in, if you're doing it just because it's for the good of doing it, then that's not really connecting with the heart. It's really connecting with the mind. You think that it's good, and so you're doing it. That's a very thinking thing. But if you are connecting from your heart because you believe in it, and you're doing it, and it's good for the world or people, that's when things start to change and move, and people start to really be affected, because you are doing it purely from a place of believing. And that's why we meet people from. I just had two this couple that came to my door the other day. They're Jehovah's Witness couple, and we get that sometimes in the doorway. And I had this really interesting conversation with them, and I think that we um, there's so many different ways of thinking and believing. I'm not judgmental about the way that we connect with our own hearts and spirituality. Whatever helps us get a little bit closer to our true potential, I'm all for that. But yeah, so these Jehovah's Witness couple came, and I think they were really scared that I would get angry at them. In actuality, they're really lovely people, and we started talking, and I told them like I'm thankful that they're out here sharing what they believe in, and I truly felt it, that they really believed in it. And I was very I respected that. I might not necessarily be like part of their congregation, or I might not necessarily follow whatever that they may be teaching, but I, from my heart, respected what they're saying, because I knew that they believed in it, and it made them better people because of it. So I think that even in a world where we are divided in what we love to do, for example, there's artists like myself, there's people out there who are congressmen, there's people out there who are doing all sorts of things, all different things that we believe in. If we do it from a place of belief from the heart, and not doing it through just the mind, thinking, oh, it's good to do, or I need to do this, or I should do it, but it's more like I want to do it because I believe in it, because I know it makes a difference to me by doing it. That's when people start to really listen, and that's when movements begin, and that's when big shifts happen. And it really starts from on an individual level. It doesn't have to be like you are the leader of like a bajillion, I don't know, followers or something, but it's really about sharing with and touching individual people like one at a time. And I think that's where the magic happens, really, is people feel it when you're being honest and truthful, and you're sharing what you are excited about, or being real. Like right now, I feel like I'm hoping that whatever I'm sharing right now is at least affecting one person. Um, I was really debating whether or not to share Instagram Live from when I'm lying down and just kind of needing to recharge, but this is the reality of it, and I don't want to hide it. And I think that, oh, thank you. Yeah, you know what, Julia, can you email me? I think it'll be easier for me to answer you. But thanks. um, and I just want people to, I think we all want it, you know, we all want um, not people to just be open for the sake of being open, because I think again that goes back to this thinking, like I think I should be open, I think I need to be saying these things, but sharing what we truly believe will be effective and potent, profound. I think those are the things that like we should be sharing. So for me, I immediately felt when I was lying down, like, you know, I want to share with other people that creating art is, yes, it's great. I love it. I love it to death. I mean, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it. Like, I love it, but it's very physical. And running your own business is not easy. And I get a lot of help from other people, which I'm very thankful for. But all those people need to be paid. And there's just a lot of things that come along with doing it. And so um, nothing is, let me reword it. Anything that requires receiving money is never easy, because um, money is an exchange of the other person's life energy. And what I mean by that is, if you really think about it, when we work, we are choosing to spend our time, again, limited time. We only live for, if we're lucky, 80 to 100 years, right? As physical form, in our current form. Obviously, for forever, 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 forever. Um, oh, hold on a second. Oh, good. Hello, thank you. From Japan. Have a safe flight. Um, sorry, I was just reading your message. But so when we have this limited energy, right, and or limited life span, and when we choose to work, we are choosing to spend this limited time to receive money. Now, if you think about it, money is just a form of, um, it's like an easy way of keeping track of this life energy in currency form. But it's just paper if you think about it, right? But the reason why I believe it has so much potent energy and so much, how do I say it, like power behind it, is because it's connected to so much of the life energy that we put into receiving it. And so that's why I think when we work, the reason why I say it's never easy is because, and it shouldn't be, you know, it shouldn't be taken lightly. I don't think receiving money is something that it should ever be taken lightly. You know, when I receive money from others through work, or people are more than generous to buy paintings from me, I'm so thankful, because they have chosen to spend the money that they have earned by spending their life energy on something that I created. I mean, that's a huge deal, right? Like, I think that's huge. And I want to make sure that I'm spending that money that they have chosen to give me. They could choose to spend it anywhere else, anywhere. You know, money could be spent in so many ways. And if they choose to purchase a painting, I have to honor that money, like, because it's not money, it's part of their life that they're giving to me. So, um, all that to say is that I think the reality of running a business, the reality of being an artist, a reality of being a creative, or anything, is that there are other things that go behind the scenes, not just the creative aspect, but needing to rest, needing to honor your own body and your health, needing to have balance in your life, needing to know what you need in order to flourish is so important. And that requires sometimes, like me, needing to take a nap during the day in order to function after expending a lot of energy, and that is okay. You know, don't not needing to feel guilty about it, but I still do sometimes. Not guilty. It's more like there's other things that I really, really want to do, and I'm so excited about it, but I just don't have the energy to do it. You know, it's like I just have to, well, what's the word? Surrender, I think, to what my body is needing. And it's hard sometimes, because I might see people, or people tell me or talk to me and say like, oh, all you do is paint. Ah, it's like no big deal. Like, 4 hours, it goes by so fast. And, I mean, you shouldn't be tired from painting or doing work. Or people don't even consider painting work. So they're like, oh, it's not work. It's not hard. But that's kind of also why I want to share this side of it, is that it's a lot of hard work, and I'm not complaining by any means. I wouldn't change it for anything, but I also want to share that the reality is that, again, you're expending energy, and that requires it to come from somewhere. And that means that, sometimes you need to take a break, and sometimes mm, if you do too much, it can make you really sick. And sometimes it requires to have the maturity and, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? The maturity and the consciousness enough to tell yourself, like, okay, you've done enough today. Like, that's good. You don't have to do any more. And giving yourself a pat on the back and be like, it's okay. Some people just do more, and, that's what they do, and you function differently, and that's okay as well. Uh, okay, sorry, I've been like rambling for so long here. I'm gonna see if anybody wrote any questions, or wanted to be part of the conversation. So I'm gonna go back real quick. But please feel free to write, and even have conversations among yourselves. I really love reading these. It's so fun. People feel like they're in bed with me. That's so cool. Yeah, take a break. It's all good. I think we all need to be okay with nourishing ourselves. And nourishing is not only going to the gym and eating healthy food. Nourishing is taking a break, spending time listening to yourself or talking to God, or however you feel more spiritually aligned to help to hear yourself better, is all part of it, I think, too. Okay, I'm just scrolling here. The apple tree analogy. I know. So yeah, if you guys are, again, highly recommend that book, Braiding Sweetgrass. It's such a good book. I'm still in it. I think I'm halfway through it, but yeah, it's a really, really good book. Definitely check it out if you are interested in the intersection of ecology and plant life and spiritual, like a way of tying it all together spiritually, and written in a beautiful, it's like almost like poetry writing, but it's so beautiful. Definitely check it out. It's a really good book. I really love it. Investing in things that make you happy. Yes, definitely agree. I believe the energy flows through and around us. We invest our energy in our work, regardless of its tangible non-energies. I truly agree. Oh, thanks, Sarika. Um, yeah, I don't know if you noticed, but so I've been taking Instagram a little bit slower lately, and it's all part of this idea of, the whole idea started, or the thought started, was because I'm sure many of you who are on Instagram read these articles about how to grow your audience you need to have like a scheduled Instagram posting whatever days, and in order to do that you have to have content, and in order to have content you have to create content, and then to create content you have to be making stuff and doing stuff, and it has to be interesting. I mean, it goes on, and you can go like way 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 into that, but it got me thinking, like, so what if one day like Instagram or any of these social media platforms just decide to stop, and then what? And we expend a lot of our energy, again, expending into no, I'm just taking a little bit of a rest right now so I can recharge for the night. But good night. um we yeah, so we do all these things on social, and like one day what if it disappears, and then what? I mean, what happens to us then we put so much time and energy into building it. And I believe and love social media because it's connected me with so many people, all of you, and I've met so many amazing people through it, and I get a lot of work inquiry from it. So I'm definitely all for it. But I started to think, because it takes a lot of time to make content, you know. It's not just like throw up a photo and write whatever, and you know, I do it every day and it's all good. Like, if you are doing it for meaning, and if it's especially for work or as people call it, like brand management, I guess, you can't just nilly-willy put whatever up, you know? So I started to think about that, like, okay, so we put so much energy into this, and mm, what is it that we're really wanting to do? Like, what's the purpose of this? Not that it's good or bad or judging, because I think that's not really what I was getting at. It was more just questioning and pondering about the meaning behind why we're doing this. For me, the answer that came out was I want to connect, and I want to move others into connecting with themselves and the things that I hold dear and near to me, spirituality and art. Um, it moves me in ways that a lot of times words can't describe, and so that's why it ends up being paintings and colors and words like poetry. But I started to think like, oh, I want to be on social media for those reasons, to share that with other people, and not just for the sake of sharing, but sharing because it's meaningful. And I think that's really difficult because we're so inundated with, you know, need to grow the audience, need to post every day, need to do this, do that. And you kind of lose the meaning behind it, you know, like at least not everybody, but for myself, you know, starting to lose this meaning of like, why am I on here? You know? And so I decided I'm gonna try a little experiment. I always try little experiments. Anytime I have like a question and I want some proof, I'll start a little experiment. So my experiment, oh no, I'm not sick. This is just part of what I need to do in order to keep balanced physically. So I have to lie down and rest. But I thought I'd do some Instagram live to show you the realities behind the scenes here. But um, so the experiment is to not do well, especially this experiment's a little bit smaller, so within social media, but to not post on social media because I'm feeling like I need to in order to stay within those parameters or those rules, you know, to keep growing the audience. But can I still connect with people? Thanks for asking. Can I still connect with people in a meaningful way, or even more so, can I connect with people in a potent, exacting, critical way without posting a lot? And what does that look like? Like, what does that mean? Is it the words that I'm choosing to use? Is it the images? Is it both? Am I sharing images that I feel very moved by, or is there something in it that I feel very drawn towards? Are the words that I'm writing truly what I believe in, or am I just writing for the sake of having something to put up? And yeah, it's for me, it was really some really hard questions to ask because um part of running the studio, and as a job, it's like this fine balance between honoring the self and making a living. And I think making a living is very real as well. It's a very real part of it. So trying to figure out that balance. And so my experiment begins where I'm going to come on when I feel very drawn to sharing something potent or meaningful, and that I feel very how do I say it? Like very what's the word I'm looking for here? Like that I feel very called to share. It might not even be that big of a deal. Like it sounds really big, but at the end of the day, it's just curating, not for the sake of curating, but curating what is being shared so that everything shared, well, so here's the question. If I only share things that I feel are potent or meaningful or moving to myself, and that lines up one after another, not just Instagram, but other places, would that affect people differently than if I'm posting as people prescribe or as, other sites prescribe where you should be posting every single day at a certain time, certain things to grow your audience so systematically? I wonder which one is making more of a human impact, not just human, but like soul impact, Because that's what I'm interested in. I mean, I'm not saying that everybody has to do this. This is just for my own pure, inquisitive, curious mind. But if we're gonna spend life on this planet with each other and we're trying to find happiness and joy and um yeah, no, it is. But I think for me, it all comes down to social media is a way that I'm connecting with other people. And so it's not really stressing me out, I guess. It's more like, how can I use it in a way that makes it the most, mm, not meaningful? I guess, yeah, meaningful. And if we're going to be, again, living our lives for only X amount of years, then how can we honor ourselves and at the same time share ourselves in a way that is connecting myself with other people in like a positive, good way? I don't know. I'm kind of rambling, but hopefully this all makes sense. Anyways, some thoughts and experimentations happening. Yeah, cuz I don't know. It's just I'm some things I'm very yeah, potent nuggets. I love that. I love that, potent nuggets. Yes, potent nuggets. Sharing potent nuggets. Cuz some people I think are built to share a lot and they do it very naturally. For me, it doesn't really come that natural. Like, it takes a lot of effort, actually, I think. Maybe it's more because, yeah, I don't know if it's possible. I'll let you know, at least for me in my experiment. But um, for some people, yeah, they share really naturally, and I think that's great and it's beautiful. I have people who, like, bust out their phone and they're like, hey, let me take a picture of us and post it. It's like, okay. But for me, when I'm in a moment and I'm really experiencing it, and then I feel like, oh, wait, I want to photograph and do this and do that. And then I miss the moment. I'm like, oh, darn. And it's like I'm not fully experiencing that moment. So I think it's the same sort of with social media. Not just social media, I mean, everything really. But I'm just kind of dwindling it down to just in a small portion of my experiment to social media and seeing if it does make a difference. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe all of this ends up being like, oh, no, I don't know, didn't work. It could. But I don't think it hurts to try. I'm always like having fun with stuff like this. So the human experience. Um, I'll share a little story with you guys, and then I think I'm gonna go take my nap after that. But so again, so I do a lot of these experiments. Anytime I have questions that are unanswered, and if I can do a little experiment, then I try. Hello. um, but so the story is, true story, is so I had this urge to try this experiment when I was going into my second time around to school. So I went to undergrad twice, um, once for study music and then the other for graphic design. But when I entered school the second time, I was a lot older, and um, I was curious to find out if my attitude and the way that I addressed people and the way that I presented myself or exuded like particular types of energy, how it would change other people without me telling them what I'm doing. More like, what's the word I'm looking for? Not osmosis, but it's almost like Oh, no, I didn't. Check that out. Um, but yeah, so I wanted to see like, would it make a difference? And this idea or experiment came from, um, oh, what was it? Can't remember the basis of it. Again, it's one of these moments I had where I was like questioning things and like curious. So I decided the 3 years that I went back to school for my second bachelor's that the whole time, hi, the whole time I would try it. I would see if what I did and how I interacted with people and smiling and all the different things that people say works would actually work to change the environment of wherever I'm at. So I started school. I was 26. And for 3 years, I continued on with this experiment where anytime I saw someone, I would greet them in the morning, good morning. I would smile. I ask them how they're doing. Even if I don't know them, I'll say hi. All the things that I think people take for granted, I went out of my way to do it. And not an annoying, like, oh my God, hi kind of thing, but well, maybe. But just, naturally greeting people um, and continuing to try to be a how do I say, like, indirectly positive, not positive, that's kind of the wrong word I'm looking for, but indirectly acknowledging other people. And if other people, because our school can be quite challenging in the sense that it's very competitive, but I went the opposite direction. And so when people would rip off, someone else's work or my work, the I think the natural inclination is to be angry, but I'm still in experiment mode, so I would talk to the individual who might have ripped it, and I'll say, like, what is it about the work that you felt drawn to do it? And at first they would deny it, but after a while they would be honest and they would start opening up, like, oh, it's actually this and this about it that made me want to do it. Or they'll be honest and say, it was a tight deadline. I saw what you did. I thought that I could just kind of rework it into my own work, so I did it. And I never got mad. And I continued to experiment with this idea of community and helping others, and not about tearing other people down in order to get ahead, um, and not being competitive, but of supporting one another. So, anyways, I did this for 3 years nonstop. And the funny thing that happened was towards the end of our graduating year, um, one of the professors and I were, we were talking, and they were saying, like, it's really interesting. This is like the one of the class meaning the year, graduating year, that you all feel like you're all family. It's like none of you guys are competing against each other. It's almost like, if someone asks you for help for homework, somebody will be there to help you. Um, it's almost like you guys all want to succeed together. It's not about one upping another. And I wonder why that is. And I'm not saying like there was no competitiveness, because there were. And I think there's actually even some professors that were trying to cultivate it, because in reality, it is competitive out there. But after the experiment, what I realized was that if people are put in an environment or place where they know that the other is not there to tear them down, but to truly support them, that others will support you as well. And I found that in my career, continuing to find that in my career, where it's easy to um, compare with other artists and feel like, oh, that artist is like doing so much better than me, or oh man, like they're like so much ahead in the career, or I should be doing more, or whatever, all these thoughts come. And but if you really think about it, you want to get to know these people, not for the sake of like jacking their ideas or trying to like one up them, but if they succeed and do well and you support them, then what makes them not want to support you and reciprocate that love? It's like love for love kind of thing. I know this sounds kind of cheesy, but I don't know. I think we're built that way naturally. So all that to say is that, yeah, all that to say is that, I think all of us are here to not try to hate on one another, but we really are here, I think, to complement each other and be there for one another. Oh, one other thing I thought of before I go, talking about complimenting. And this really made me think a lot too, and maybe it'll leave a little bit of something in your mind as well. But again, back to the plant kingdom, because a lot of the ways that I see humans thriving, it's already around us in nature, and maybe we're just missing it. But so this whole idea of cooperation, right? I feel like we're truly built this way, like naturally, is because so when you're planting a garden, right? They say that if you plant a field of, let's say, I don't know, one crop, and it's all the same, all tomatoes, all corn, or whatever, I forgot what it's called, mono agriculture or mono something, I have to remember it, but all the plants don't thrive. And it's because the soil is getting depleted of one type of nutrient or certain types of nutrients because it's the same type of plant. But if you plant different kinds of fruits and vegetables, or vegetables, I think, in that plot that are multi, how do you say, like supportive of each other, then the plants thrive and they don't get sick. You don't need pesticides. You don't need to do like weird things to the farming. You allow the plants to be because they're complementing one another, right? So for example, I think I was reading in that book that I'm reading right now, if you plant corn and beans and squash, I think was the third one, at the same time the corn grows first and it's long and tall, right? So it grows up and down. That comes out first. And then the beans grow, and the beans have these how do you call it, the part that grows that kind of swirls around the corn so that it grows up, but it uses the corn to prop it up naturally. And by doing that, the bean gets to grow as big as it's meant to. And then at the very end, the squash grows, and it grows on the ground and it covers it so that you don't get weird, you get some, but you don't get as many weeds and things like that. So all these three plants grow together and they support one another based on their gifts and what they have naturally. So if you think about it in human form or human words, I am reading Braiding Sweet Grass. Isn't that book amazing? I love it. So much good stuff in there. Making my mind go. It's so good. But yeah, so I was thinking about it. Oh my gosh, like, so us humans, we're so prone to think we have to do everything really well, right? Or that we need to be like, that we're not good enough if we don't do multiple things, like multi-talented or whatnot. There are people who are multi-talented, but it's got me thinking, if every single one of us, nice, if every single one of us concentrates on our gifts, the things that we know we're good at, right? If we were to really hone in on it and do it to its maximum potential, not overshooting, just like the corn, you're just growing and doing your thing, that you are supporting the next person who also has another gift that complements you without you even realizing, you know? So I started to think, okay, so this is just an example. I'm not saying this is like the only example, but so for example, okay, let's say I just concentrate on painting. Let's say that's just my thing, one thing that I choose, right? And I really develop it and I just really dive into it, and I don't know, who knows, like become like super crazy good at it. Let's just say I'll probably be like 200 years old by that point. But so by being really good, let's say, at that one thing, then I was thinking, okay, how would that help like another person? It can maybe move another to want to start painting themselves because something about it makes them excited about it. Or it might help another who is looking to bring a particular type of painting into their home to bring good energy. They might really find it exciting and support their, journey in their life. It could be to support maybe the gallery that I'm part of. Maybe if I'm able to sell paintings, then they're able to support their business and the people that are part of their business without realizing. You never know how your talents and your gifts are affecting other people in ways that like you have no idea, but by doing those things, it can really make a difference, right? So all that to say is that it's not about overextending and trying to be like, I don't know, super crazy person, but it's all about, I think, figuring out and honing in on our gifts and what we're truly excited and good at, and developing those things and really being able to put that into the world, I think is really important. And it's part of like the natural progression of things, or that's kind of how it feels like almost. Hmm. Anyways, some some things I've been thinking about. Okay, sorry, I've been rambling for so long. Thank you so much for listening. Um, so I'm gonna take a nap now to, like I said, so I can have energy for the evening. But hopefully all of you are doing well, and please know that I'm always so thankful. I mean, I hope you know I'm so thankful of each and every one of you who continue to support this journey and I don't know, be a part of it and cheer me on. It's nice. It's like I'm with other people. And I love being able to share with a community that's so supportive and open-minded and loving. I feel very, very, very blessed to have such amazing people. Um, yeah, no, definitely take a look at the book. It's great. Um, I'm gonna start tearing up if I start talking about this, but I really, really am truly touched by every single person that is part of this journey, and I'm thankful to be able to be here, to do what I do and share and have people be so, I don't know, like receiving of it. I don't know if that's the right word, but I think you know what I mean. Just, um, cause there's some, nasty stuff that people can say or do or be, and I honestly am thankful every person that I've been able to connect on with here, and whether I have conversations or not, like I feel it a lot, the love from everybody. So, thank you very very much for being that person that shares the love, and I hope that I'm able to take your love and channel it into the work so that other people can feel your love through different means, and continue to grow that. I think is really important, little by little. We all do our part, like I said, each one of us, we're a corn or a tomato or a potato. Each one of us does our thing, but all together we'll be some delicious soup. I think that's great. Anyways, thank you so much for tuning in today. If you ever want to find me, you know where I'm at here, and Twitter and Facebook. But again, I'm trying this experiment, so you might not see me on there as much, but I am around, and I'm gonna continue to kind of tune into my intuition and my physical being for some answers, and I'll continue to share with you any messages that I get channeled, um, and everything else, anything else, and everything else that I get that I feel will hopefully be good to share with you. I will for sure. And hopefully you'll share with me all your wonderful stories and any good nuggets of, ooh, what's that word you used? Potent nuggets. I gotta write that down. Potent nuggets. Um, that you'll share with me your potent nuggets, because that inspires me to paint and write and do the things that really I love. Ah, this has been a good Instagram live. I know I'm just rambling, but I feel so right now in my element, like very natural. So I think this has been good. Potent nuggets. I love that. It's so great. Okay. Have a wonderful rest of your week, everybody, and thank you again for joining in. Oh, hello. Thank you. I love all of you so very much. I don't mean it just like by saying, like I love you. It's not like that. I mean really, love in the sense of I love your hearts, and I truly appreciate it, every one of you. And hopefully we will connect again soon. Connect again soon. That's what I was trying to say. Connect again soon on Instagram Live or Instagram Stories. But otherwise, yeah, please keep the energy good and light, light flowing from you, and share your gifts with the world. Don't be shy about it. There's always people who need it and want it. So share your gifts with the world, and I will see you all again soon. Good night. Or it's not really nighttime, so good nap time. Bye, everybody. Thank you.